Okay, we are effectively started. So yesterday, we talked about factoring out the greatest common factor, right?
Yes.
And we were focusing on just the numbers,
Yeah.
right? So we were doing things like 4x minus 16. And so we were looking at, the greatest common factor between 4 and 16 is 4, right? And so we said, okay, we'll write that greatest common factor there, and we'll put a parenthesis after it. And then we're going to say 4 divided by this 4 is 1x, or x, minus 16 divided by this 4 is 4. And then I can always double check my work by just doing the distributive property. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. Yes, it works. Very quick and easy to check your work when you do these things. Do you see that? All right. But today we're going to add another component, because so far we've only been looking at factoring out the numbers. But sometimes you have variables in both terms. In this one, I don't. I have a variable in this term, but not in this term. And remember, a greatest common factor are factors that they both the terms have in common. This has an x, but this doesn't have an x. There's no common x between the two. Does that make sense? But if this had something with an x and this had something with an x, then I would have to also factor that out. Okay, so let's try. Let's try one. Let's say, well, let's just use this one. Let's do this one. 4x squared minus 16x. Okay? So write this down in your notes. 4x squared minus 16x. So this is going to be our first example. The first thing I do, okay, I'm even going to write this down. First, step 1. Actually, I think I have it written down here. Okay, so figure out greatest common factor for numbers, right? So the numbers are 4 and 16. We just already figured that one out, right? So it's 4. So we know it's going to be 4. So I'm going to put my greatest common factor of 4 right there. But I'm not going to put my parenthesis yet, because I noticed that they have x's in common. How many x's does this one have?
2.
How many x's does this one have?
1.
Okay, what do they have in common? How many x's do they have in common? 1. They both have 1x. Does that make sense? It's always, in some ways, the variables are easier than the numbers. Because the numbers, you have to try to figure out 4 and 16, what goes into what, right? With the variables, you only have the choices that are there. You have either x squared or x. That's it. And you always choose the one that's smaller, right? So you do the x, not the x squared. Because this doesn't have an x squared. It just has an x. I know that this is x squared, but it has an x plus another x, right? Or times another x. So I know I could take out the variable with the smaller exponent. So I'm going to put that variable right there. Then I'm going to put my parenthesis. You with me so far? Right? So that I figured out my greatest common factor for the numbers. Number 2 is figure out the greatest common factor for variables. And what that is the variable with smallest exponent. Right? You guys get that? Because that's the only one that they both have in common, right? All right, so now the question is, I'm going to do the 4 divided by 4. I'm going to factor this out of this. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, so I'll put a 1 if I want. It doesn't matter. You can or you don't have to. X squared divided by x. Think about this. X squared divided by x. Remember this? It's x to the 2 minus 1. Right? So it's really x to the 1, right? Or just x. Right? So I'm just going to put an x here. And if I want to just double check that I'm right, I just go like this. What's 4x times 1x? It's 4x squared. Right? I know, I just did it right. 4x squared. Because x times x is x squared. I don't like the 1 personally in front of my x, so I'm going to take it out, but it doesn't matter. And then minus 16 divided by 4 is 4. X divided by x is what? 1. So 4 times 1 is just 4. So I'm done. There's always going to be one of them that has no variable after it, inside the parentheses. And I'm done. So we're going to do a bunch of these so you get used to it. And then we're going to turn off the tape and practice it.
Are those the only steps?
Okay, well, the step, let's see, how do I write this? Then, okay, 3, divide it out. Divide it out. But notice when I divide it out, I do the number first and then the variable. I don't try to go, 4x squared divided by 4x. I go 4 divided by 4, x squared divided by x. You know what I mean? I do it one at a time. When you do it one at a time, it's easy. Even complicated ones are really easy. So number 2, let's try another one. All right, how about 6x to the 4th plus 4x squared? First thing I look at the numbers, 6 and 4. What are they? What? 2 goes into both of them, right? So I know I'm going to choose my greatest common factor. I'm going to write it 2.
So it would be 2x2.
So yes, now I got to look at my variables. The variables are x to the 4th or x squared. Which do they have in common?
X.
Well, they have an x. They both have an x. But this has 2 x's. This has 4 x's. But 4 x's is also 2 x's and 2 more x's, right? 4 x's is 2 times 2.
Mm-hmm.
This one has x, 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 x. This one has x, x. They both have x, x in common. They both have 2 x's in common, x squared. So, like I said, I take the one that has the smallest exponent. X to the 4th, x squared, that's the smallest exponent. I know I can factor out an x squared. Okay? And they're really easy because you have to choose one of these two, and it's got to be the smaller one. That's it for the variable. So that's why the variables are so easy. Now I do my parentheses. Now I say, okay, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then, look at this. This is why the variables are so easy. X to the 4th divided by x to the 2. All I have to do to factor it out is subtract my exponents. I've got 4 x's. I'm subtracting 2 of them. I have 2 left over, x squared. Look at that. 4 minus 2, it's x2. Right? See how easy that is? And then plus, and then 4 divided by 2 is 2. X squared divided by x squared, they cross out. That's just 1, right? 2 times 1 is 2. So I'm done. Again, one of these is not going to have a variable after it. Right? You see that?
Wait, when you said 1 for the x, wouldn't it still be 1x? Or would it just be no x?
No, because x, think about it. What's 4 over 4? 1. What's x over x? 1. What's x squared over x squared? 1. It's not 1x. It's x. It's just 1. When you have the same thing upstairs and downstairs, it's just 1.
So it's basically the same thing as last night, just with those.
Yeah, it's the same thing. The only difference is it's the same exact thing except totally different, right? No, the difference is that it has the variables as well that you're going to have in both of the terms. And before last night, you had variables only in one term, right? Now you have it in both terms, and so you're looking for common variables for both of them, which is going to be the one that has a smaller number of exponents. All right. Yes.
Where did you get the 3x squared? I mean, like, where did you get it?
Okay. So 6 divided by 2 is 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then x to the 4 divided by x, think about it, x to the 4 divided by x squared, because I'm dividing them, right? I'm dividing this into this, and it takes away, basically, I just do 4x. It's x to the 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2. And 4 minus 2 is 2. So I put x to the 2 there. And you can always just double check your work. X squared times x squared is x to the 2 plus 2, which is x to the 4. Works. Right? Am I losing you? I'm losing you a little bit. Did you understand how I got that, though?
Yeah.
Okay. But you can always check your work by doing what's called the distributive property, right? 2 times 3 is 6. X squared times x squared, you know those, right?
It's 4.
Is x to the 4. There you go. And then plus 2 times 2 is 4. X squared times whatever is just x squared. The x squared tags along, right?
Whatever.
Okay, so now let's do 2 more. 3 and 4. I'll be sure we have time. Okay, 3. We'll do 3. See if there's any harder things. How about 24 c to the 8th plus 36 c to the 5th. Okay? It looks
12.
scary. It looks scary, but it's not scary at all. It's just as easy as the first one I put up there. Right? 24, 36, 12 goes into both of those, right? So 12 is my greatest common factor. I'll put 12. Now for my variables, I just have to choose one of the two.
5.
It's going to be c to the 5 because that's the smaller exponent. C to the 5. I immediately write that. Then I do my parentheses. I go 24 divided by 12 is 2. Okay, c to the 8th divided by c to the 5th. All I do is put my c and I subtract 8 minus 5 is 3. See how easy that is?
Yeah.
And then plus 36 divided by 12 is 3. The c to the 5th, c to the 5th cancel out. Right? There's my answer.
Did it.
They're pretty easy. Right? Make sense? We'll do one more just to make sure. 4. How about 14 x to the 9th minus 49 x
Calculator time.
49x to the 3rd. Okay, what?
3. That'll be 14, I think.
How do you get 14 is 2
Oh,
2
right.
times 7, right? 49 is 7 times 7, am I right? So I could say 7. So I'm going to take a 7 out. Now, which of the x's can I take out? The x to the 9 or x to the 3?
X to 3.
X to the 3. Beautiful. Parentheses. 14 divided by 7 is 2.
X3.
X to the 9 minus 3 is 6.
Oh.
Minus 49 divided by 7 is 7. X cubed, they cancel out. So that's it. That's your answer. Does that make sense? Okay. It's not hard. The variables are actually easier than the numbers, I think. Once you get used to them.
Wait, so the x cubed crosses out?
Yeah, because think about it, x cubed divided by x
Oh,
cubed
yeah.
is just 1. So it's just 1 times that 7. So 7 times 1 is 7, right? Now, the last 2 problems on the homework they look scary, but they're not.
There's an extra number.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
I thought I'm looking
Yeah,
at the
there's like an
homework.
extra number. So like if I had, 6x to the 5th plus 9x to the 3rd
Yeah.
minus
Also,
3x. Okay, I've got 3 terms. So I have to have greatest common factor that goes through all of them. What number goes into 6, 9, and 3? 3. So I'll take my 3 out. And then I've got x to the 5th, x to the 3, and x. X, right? The one that has the smallest number. Now they all have x's. That's important. That's important, right? If one of them didn't, then that would be complicated, right? So we've got them all with x's, so we're going to do a parenthesis. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And what's the exponent here? It's a 1. So it's going to be x to the 5 minus 1 is 4.
He switched.
X, plain old x is x to the 1. When I say do x to the 5th divided by x, it's just taking away one of the x's, so it's x to the 4. Right? And then plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. X to the 3 minus the 1 is x to the 2. You guys seeing this?
Yeah. I'm looking right.
The last one, minus 3 divided by 3 is 1. I could write a 1. Actually, I will write a 1 because x divided by x is 1 as well. So you got to have something to keep the
Did you
place.
get x squared? 3x squared?
You guys, I feel like you kind of didn't quite understand that.
Oh.
Right? Because you got to remember, just a plain old x has a hidden 1 exponent. So you got to take 1 away from all of these.
Oh, I get
So x to the 5th becomes x to the 4th. X to the 3rd becomes x to the 2. X becomes no x's. X to the 0, which is 1. 1. Got it? Okay. I don't know if why don't I just give you the homework and you start on it? Is
Yeah.
that okay?
Okay.
Because the
We
phone,
didn't grab the
the bell
homework.
may ring any second. You got the homework? You guys are bad.
You guys do.
No, we didn't. What are you talking about?
Let's start trying these.
Trying us or something?
Now, the first few are like last
Oh,
time.
sweet.
So if you want to jump to the other ones, feel free. I mean, along with you.
Oh,
21.
Oh, Gary, can I have the homework
Six
from last
goes to
night?
21.
The first one. I have the
So I
answer
think
to
I
it.
just need
From the last homework. I have the
No,
answer to the
it
first
can't
one,
be.
the last one.
Oh, you do? Oh, is that the same
maybe
one?
3.
Yeah. So
Oops, sorry.
backwards.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's easier to
Oh,
just
there's
figure it out
examples.
again.
3 goes into 6. No, 21 7 times.
Just divided by 2.
And plus 6 goes into 2 times. Six.
Somewhere I brought my briefcase over for something, but I don't know what I did with it. My blue bag. If you see it anytime, let me know.
Okay.
Maybe I used it for the coffee house. Awesome.
Yeah, Gary. What? 3.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Oh, 3.
Great. Right. Good job.
3. Would it just be 3
No.
and no x? 'Cause like one
Yeah,
comes
just
in
3
there.
because they don't both have x's. So it's just 3. Oh gosh.